T-minus 5 minutes.
Go for launch.
T-minus 3, 2, 1.
Atlas engine ignition.
Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket.
At Space Launch Complex 37, a Delta IV Heavy rocket is fueled and ready to launch the NROL-37 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office. Good afternoon. I'm Trevor Kilpatrick. I'm joining you live from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. I work in electrical engineering for United Launch Alliance, and I'll be your commentator for this afternoon's launch. For those of you who are with us on Friday, welcome back. For those of you who weren't, thanks for joining us, and we got a good show for you here today. The weather we were experiencing 2 days ago has moved out, and the launch team is not working any issues at this time. So we are proceeding towards a liftoff at 1:51 p.m. Eastern Time. A few seconds from now, we'll enter a planned 15-minute hold. There are 2 planned holds in our 7-hour and 45-minute launch count. These planned holds give our team additional time for final systems checks and to resolve any issues prior to entering the terminal count at T-minus 4 minutes. But again, at this point, the team is not working any issues. At the request of our customer, today's live coverage will conclude following payload fairing jettison, which is scheduled to take place about 6.5 minutes after liftoff. We recently received a final briefing from Kathy Winters, the 45th Space Wing's weather officer. The weather is within the launch commit criteria for this afternoon's liftoff. The probability of violating launch constraints is 30%. Ground winds out of the east at 12 to 18 knots, and the temperature is 84 degrees Fahrenheit. So the weather is favorable, and we are proceeding towards a planned T0 of 1:51 p.m. Eastern. After liftoff, the Delta IV Heavy will take a southeasterly heading away from our launch pad here at Cape Canaveral. Here's a quick look at what else we can expect to see this afternoon.
The following profile details the important events of this mission, using approximate times.
5, 4, 3. And the RS-68A engines roar to life and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy.
3 Delta IV RS-68A main engines ignite to lift the vehicle away from the pad. Shortly after liftoff, Delta IV begins its initial pitch and yaw maneuvers to attain the proper ascent profile and minimize aerodynamic loads. Delta IV reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound, at 81 seconds. At 81 seconds, the vehicle also reaches maximum dynamic pressure, or max Q. At 3 minutes 45 seconds, the port and starboard engines are throttled down. At 3 minutes 56 seconds, the port and starboard engines are shut down, followed 2 seconds later by jettison of the port and starboard boosters. The center engine is immediately throttled to full power to maximize performance. Approaching main engine cutoff, the Delta IV is located 69 miles in altitude and 361 miles downrange. It is traveling at a speed of more than 15,112 miles per hour and burning propellant at the rate of 1,943 pounds per second. Main engine cutoff occurs at 5 minutes 36 seconds. 7 seconds after main engine cutoff, the first stage is jettisoned. Ignition of the Delta cryogenic second stage engine takes place 13 seconds after stage separation. At 6 minutes 38 seconds, the payload fairing is jettisoned.
NROL-37 is the 32nd Delta IV flight and the 107th mission for ULA. We're using the Delta IV Heavy configuration for today's flight. Built in Decatur, Alabama, the Delta IV Heavy is the largest and most powerful configuration in the ULA fleet. It is comprised of 3 common booster cores, each powered by an Aerojet Rocketdyne RS-68A engine, and a Delta Cryogenic second stage powered by an Aerojet Rocketdyne RL-10B2 engine. The NROL-37 payload is protected during ascent by a 5-meter diameter tri-sector payload fairing. Let's have a look at a few of the events that took place in preparation for the launch. On May 13th, the NROL-37 spacecraft, encapsulated inside the payload fairing, was transported to the Mobile Service Tower, or MST, at Space Launch Complex 37 and mated to the Delta IV rocket. Final preparations began at Space Launch Complex 37 using 40 hydraulic cylinders at pressures nearing 3,500 psi. The MST was raised 8 inches and rolled back, revealing the Delta IV launch vehicle. At 100 feet by 100 feet by 300 feet, the MST is as tall as a football field is long, as wide as the length of a basketball court, and weighs about 10 million pounds. Using a carriage transporter system traveling at about a quarter mile per hour, it takes about 25 minutes to roll the MST to its launch position 345 feet north of the Delta IV launch vehicle. The Delta IV rocket stands 232 feet tall, or about 23 stories, and weighs about 1.6 million pounds fully fueled. The 3 Delta IV RS-68A main engines produce more than 2 million pounds of thrust at liftoff. About 6 minutes later, at stage separation, it weighs just 10% of what it did at liftoff. Today's launch is for the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO. The NRO is a joint organization engaged in the research and development, acquisition, launch, and operation of innovative overhead reconnaissance systems necessary to meet the needs of the intelligence community and the Department of Defense. The NRO is recognized for its transformational intelligence collection systems that are used to develop highly accurate military targeting data, support international peacekeeping and humanitarian relief operations, and to assess the impact of natural disasters. For most launches, our customers provide artwork unique to their mission. For NROL-37, the NRO's artwork features a knight. The knight is a symbol of courage with a chivalrous code of conduct representing bravery, training, and service to others. The knight stands in front of the U.S. flag in a protective posture. The eagle on his chest is a symbol of freedom and the United States. The sword is a message of tenacious, fierce focus, with claws representing reach with global coverage. XXXVII is the Roman numeral representation of the NROL-37 designator. The Delta IV Heavy is the launch vehicle configuration for the mission, and Cape Canaveral is the launch base location. Delta IV NROL-37 is dedicated in memory of our colleague, friend, and patriot, Ralph Buddy Culbertson. Buddy leaves behind an extraordinary legacy of operational accomplishment as a leader of the launch integration process. Buddy will forever be memorialized with the liftoff of NROL-37. Today's launch is also dedicated in memory of former ULA employee Robbie O'Connor. Robbie began his aerospace career in 1989 as a Delta II second shift technician. He was part of a crew famous for their last-minute heroics. He later became a qualified aerospace planner responsible for processing flight-critical procedures on the Atlas and Delta programs. Robbie was a caring individual, dedicated to family and friends, and was always willing to lend a helping hand. He was well respected in the community, and his legendary talent at the grill developed into a family-run restaurant that continues today. This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We remain in the planned built-in 15-minute hold as preparations for the launch continue. In a few moments, launch conductor Scott Barney will pull the launch team for the final go to pick up the countdown. 32 engineers and managers will be pulled for system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check before launch for all Delta vehicle systems, ground systems, the spacecraft, and the U.S. Air Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen as Scott Barney performs the final polling of the launch team.
L-minus 7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Respond go, no go. MEQ.
Go.
MEA.
Go.
HYE.
Go.
LOX 1.
Go.
LOX 2.
Go.
VP.
Go.
PNE.
Go.
BP.
Go.
ATC 1.
Go.
PEA.
Go.
Fuel 1.
Go.
Fuel 2.
Go.
TM 1.
Go.
ATC 3.
Go.
TM 2.
Go.
FMA.
Go.
VE.
Go.
EEA.
Go.
GE.
Go.
SYS.
Go.
DSE.
Go.
Timer.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
QE.
Go.
USO.
Go.
OSM.
Go.
VSE.
VSE is go.
ALC.
Go.
AC.
AC is go.
RC.
Clear to proceed.
Launch Director.
The launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission Director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. MEQ. Establish swing arm lock pins. Pull.
Active.
SYS. Establish record on change list. Activated.
Activated.
Polling is complete, and the launch team has given the go for launch. The countdown will resume approximately 1 minute and 25 seconds from now. At T-minus 4 minutes and counting, the team will enter the terminal count and will begin securing the second stage liquid oxygen tank. At T-minus 3 minutes 32 seconds, booster liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen tank securing is started, which includes closing the propellant fill and drain valves. Also at T-minus 3 minutes 32 seconds, vehicle transfer from ground facility power to its own internal battery power will be complete. At T-minus 3 minutes, the vehicle ordnance system will be armed and booster liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen propellant tanks are verified to be at flight pressure and flight level. At 2 minutes prior to liftoff, the team will verify that the hydraulic system is pressurized as well as confirm booster, DCSS, and flight termination system battery voltages. At T-minus 1 minute 20 seconds, the team will begin securing the second stage liquid hydrogen tank. At T-minus 60 seconds, the eastern range readiness is verified. At T-minus 50 seconds, the DCSS liquid hydrogen tank is secured at flight level. A final launch vehicle status and spacecraft status check is conducted at T-minus 30 seconds. At T-minus 15 seconds, the ROFIs, or sparklers, are ignited to burn off excess hydrogen at the base of the vehicle. Liftoff will occur at T0. Following liftoff, we'll hear Steve Agid providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Upper stage lock securing started. Vehicle transferring internal.
3 minutes, 50 seconds.
The countdown clock has resumed, and we are go for launch at 1:51 p.m. Eastern.
CBC LH2 secure. CBC lock secured.
T-minus 3 minutes, 14 seconds.
CBC pre-press started.
3 minutes, 7 seconds. T-minus 3 minutes.
Vehicle ordnance arming. Vehicle ordnance armed. CPC locks at flight pressures and flight level.
T-minus 2 minutes, 14 seconds. T-minus 2 minutes.
TPA script running. Hydraulic press at 4,000.
CBC LH2 at flight pressure, flight level.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Eastern range are go for launch.
T-minus 1 minute, 20 seconds.
Second stage LH2 securing started.
T-minus 1 minute.
Engine start box go.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
T-minus 50 seconds.
Upper stage LH2 secure at flight level.
45.
Launch enabled. GE main power off.
Main power off.
40. 35. 30.
Status check.
Go Delta.
Go NROL-37. Green board.
25.
Flight lock in.
20. 15.
Profi ignition.
T-minus
10,
10,
Scissors
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We have main engine ignition. 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying the NROL-37 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Vehicle now going transonic. Just past max Q. Maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle. 1 minute, 30 seconds in. Chamber pressure holding in the port and starboard booster in the full thrust mode, and in the fore booster in the partial thrust mode. Altitude now passing 9.2 nautical miles, velocity 2,533 feet per second. Downrange distance 4.96 nautical miles. 1 minute, 49 seconds in.
We're listening to Steve Agid providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Hydrazine pressurization valve is now on in the second stage as second stage systems are coming online. Passing 2 minutes, 7 seconds. Altitude now passing 15.8 nautical miles. Velocity 3,854 feet per second. Downrange distance 11.51 nautical miles. 2 minutes, 20 seconds in. Still looking good. Good symmetrical chamber pressures in the port and starboard boosters in the full thrust mode. Good chamber pressure in the core in the partial thrust mode. 2 minutes, 35 seconds. 2 minutes, 40 seconds in, the Delta IV rocket now only weighs 1/2 of what it did at launch, burning propellant at the rate of 4,889 pounds per second. 2 minutes, 50 seconds in. Mark, 2 minutes, 56 seconds, just passing Mach 5. Vehicle now traveling 5 times the speed of sound, is approaching 3 minutes, 3 seconds in. Altitude now passing 29.5 nautical miles, velocity 7,815 feet per second. Downrange distance 54 nautical miles. 3 minutes, 18 seconds in. Still looking good. Engine control is good in the first stage. About 15 seconds from now, we'll expect the port and starboard booster to toggle to the partial thrust mode. Standing by for that command to go to partial thrust and port and starboard. And we see the partial thrust command. The command is good. Thrust levels dropping in the port and starboard as expected. Standing by for cutoff. And we see cutoff in the port and starboard booster. Standing by for separation. And separation. Port and starboard boosters have separated from the core booster. And we've ramped up to full power mode in the core. Good full power mode in the core. 4 minutes, 17 seconds in. We have about 1 minute remaining in first stage flight. Passing 4 minutes, 32 seconds. Just passing Mach 15. 15 times the speed of sound. Passing 4 minutes, 42 seconds in. At this point in the flight, we're having a maximum skin temperature as predicted. About 45 seconds or so until we go to the partial thrust mode in the core booster. Altitude now 59.4 nautical miles, velocity 1700, correction 17,800 feet per second, and downrange distance 272 nautical miles, passing 5 minutes 10 seconds into the flight. Now about 10 seconds away from the partial thrust command in the core booster. Standing by. And we see the partial thrust command. Standing by for cutoff. And we see cutoff. Standing by for stage step. And we see stage separation. NEDS deploy is in work. Standing by for igniter spark. And we have igniter spark and ignition. Good ignition on the second stage. Second stage chamber pressure is rising. Good chamber pressure in the second stage, just where we want it to be. 6 minutes, 8 seconds into the flight. Next major event will be the fairing separation, approximately 20 seconds from now. Good engine control in the second stage, recovering from its initial transients. Standing by for fairing SEP. And we have fairing SEP.
This is Delta Mission Control at T plus 6 minutes, 54 seconds. We've just seen the successful liftoff of the Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying the NROL-37 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office, and all systems continue to operate nominally. Liftoff occurred at 1:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At our customer's request, we'll now conclude our live coverage. Thanks to ULA's Steve Agid for his participation in today's show. For more information about ULA or the Delta IV, please visit us at ulalaunch.com or join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter using hashtag NROL-37. We'll leave you now with another look at today's liftoff. I'm Trevor Kilpatrick. On behalf of the entire launch team, thank you for joining us and have a great evening. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We have main engine ignition. 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying the NROL-37 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.